All right, let's talk about combining like terms real quickly. When we combine like terms, we need to look at exactly the same. So a number with no variable is just simply a number. That would be one like term. 2, 5, 10, 20, 100. Those are all like terms. They're only numbers. But when we add a variable, then 5p is not the same as 7. 2x is not the same as 14 because we've added the x to it. Combinations of variables like xy or qr or pw, as long as it has the same exact combination of variables, it's considered like terms. It has to be identical. It also has to be might be same variable. So if I have 7pw plus 2w, those are not combinable because one is a pw and the other one is only a w. So let's look here. Here, let's color code. So there's two ways that I like to solve these. I either like to color code them or I like to use a table, which sometimes I call a slot machine. So here I'm going to go through and I'm going to color code all of my like terms. So 3 is a number, so I'm going to color all my numbers yellow. 5 happens to also be just a number, so I'll use yellow for that as well. X is a variable. Let's say orange, why not? P, I'll just go right down the line. S, I haven't had an S yet, so we'll go S green. PX, well, that's not the same as X, and it's also not the same as P. It's its own set of variables, and because they're combined, it has to be separate. S, we're going back to green. Even though there's a 3, it just means we have S times S times S. There's 3 of them. It's still an S. Our P is the same as 7P. Whoops. Oh my goodness. Our PX is the same as 2PX. See how they're identical? They're exactly the same. So those are like terms. Our 4x is the same as our x. They both just have x for their variable. So those are our like terms. So color coding it helps, but it still can be confusing. So I like to set up a table. And what I do is I walk through each of my terms. Each of these is a term. They're all terms. And I set up a table. And I walk through and I say, okay, my first one is a 3. What comes next is a 5. Remember, the sign stays with it, so if it's negative, I would write -5. The x is x. The p is p. The s is s. px is px. 3s goes under s. 7p goes under p. 2px goes under px. And 4x goes under x. So now if I look at this, I almost have like a math problem where I could add up each column. I have separate math problems. 3 plus 5 is 8. Now, an x is the same thing as an invisible 1x. So I have 1 plus 4, and the x just stays with it. I have 1x, and then I add 4 more x's. So I have a total of 5 x's, and those are positive. So I put a plus sign. My p has an invisible 1 in front of it, so I'm adding 1p plus 7 more p's gives me a positive 8 p's. My s has an invisible 1 next to it, so I have 1s, and I'm adding 3 more s's. I have positive 4 s's. And my px has an invisible 1 next to it, so I have 1 px. And then I'm adding 2 more, so I have a positive 3 px. Now each thing has its own like term. I cannot combine any further, so this is my answer. That's called simplifying combining like terms. Simplify does not mean solve. It means solve as far as you can. So let's try some. All right, we can start by color coding. I have an x. I have a negative x, so 4x's are positive, 2x's are negative. Here we have positive 2y's and then positive 7 more y's. So now when I go to set up my table, I have an x and a y. I'm going to make like a T-chart. So I have 4 x's. I'm going to go in order. I have 2 y's. I'm taking away 2 x's. And I have 7 y's. Add it up. 4 minus 2, 2x. 2 plus 7, 9y. So my answer is 2x plus 9y. Let's try one more. I have a y squared. I have 4 y squareds and 5 y's. Now this doesn't have a squared. This right here is a square root of 2. This just has a square root of 1. Those are different, which makes them not like terms. They're different. So here we have a minus y squared. The minus has to go with the y squared, just like the plus has to go with the 5y. So now we have like terms, our 4y squared and our minus y squared. But hey, we have a 5 and it's just a 5. So that is a different term. A negative 2 is a similar like term to positive 5. So now when I make my table, I have 3 categories. I have a y squared category, a y category, and a number category. And yes, I want to see you make categories. As they get bigger, they get more complex, harder to keep track of everything. So I have 4 y squareds. I have 5 y's. I'm taking away a y squared. I have a 5, and I'm taking away 2. So now I can combine. Well, I have 4 y squareds, and I'm taking away that invisible 1 y squared. So 4 minus 1 leaves me with 3 y squareds. 5y has nothing to combine with, so I just bring it down. So I have 5y, and 5 minus 2 is a positive 3. So my answer is 3y squared plus 5y plus 3.